call the member for Strathfield.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's often said that democracy is not a destination, it's a journey. It's not something we inherit and keep by default. It's something we have to earn every day through our words, our actions, and the values we choose to elevate. Like many Australians and members of my community in Strathfield, I've watched with deep concern the political developments and the tone in another democracy overseas. An erosion not just of democratic norms, but of decency, of empathy, and even a shared truth that people can watch the same incident on a video and have vastly different views of what actually happened. What began as a fraying of civic discourse is torn in places into something far more dangerous. Communities divided, trust shattered, and people retreating into anger and fear. Madam Speaker, we have to resist the temptation to see this as something completely foreign or distant. We too are not immune. Here in Australia, we see some early warning signs: the rise of misinformation and disinformation, the demonisation of minority communities, the normalisation of contempt in our public conversation, the rise of extremism. There is an emerging politics of division, one that feeds not on hope but on grievance, not on unity but on suspicion. And we have to call it for what it is, because if we don't, we risk sleepwalking into a future where cruelty is excused as plain speaking and exclusion is paraded as patriotism. But my contribution today is not one of despair. I want to be hopeful, because I think the true strength of our democracy doesn't just lie in our parliaments with politicians. It lies in our communities, in the parents at school drop-offs who teach their kids to be kind, in the volunteers at the local food pantry who serve without judgment, in the quiet dignity of people who choose to listen, to care, and build up rather than tear down. These are the everyday Australians who, without fanfare, keep our democratic spirit alive. I think of my own electorate of Strathfield, a community shaped by migration, by difference and by resilience. Over 60% of our residents were born overseas. We speak many languages, we eat many cuisines, we worship in many different ways, and yet we share a deep common bond, a belief in fairness, in opportunity, and in one another. That's the Australian spirit. That is the best of who we are. We must never take this for granted. Democracy is not defended only in times of crisis. It's protected in the small choices we make, in the leaders we elect, the language we use, the lies we challenge, and the dignity we afford one another. In that democracy overseas, we've seen what happens when those choices are neglected, when truth is treated as optional, when anger is monetised, and when the very idea of a shared future is abandoned. We have to choose differently here. Let us affirm that leadership is not about domination but about service, that patriotism is not about exclusion but about belonging, and that our nation's true strength is found not in the steel of our armies but in the values we hold firm. The question before us is not just what sort of politics we want, but what sort of country we want to be. The answer lies not only in this chamber, but in every street, school, and home across our country. I still believe, with all my heart, in the decency of the Australian people, and I believe that together we will not allow the ugliness we see elsewhere to take root here. Not in our name, not in our home.